All right, good morning. The rain has stopped. We had some serious rain here last night. Lots of noise, thunder, lightning, heavy rain. It's a little humid, but it's comfortable out in the studio, and I can hear birds chirping and woodpeckers doing their thing. So we're back here. Let me switch over the video, and we'll look at where we are. All right, this is our reference painting. This is the oil that I did a couple of weeks ago. Rather than going back and using the photograph as the reference for the watercolor, I really like the loose, chunky feel of this one. So I'm going to continue to use this as my reference and refer back to it and look at it while I'm painting. Yesterday we got the warm lights in front of the on the front of the building and the sky. I referred to the sky yesterday as a light tone. It's really more of a middle value, but it was a discrete chunk of area that I could paint in and get down. So I did it at the same time as the lights. From here, we're going to start building our darks out. It's darkest underneath the overhang, over here on this side at this bump out, and on this side, because you can just see a little bit of the side of the building. We're going to do that. We're going to do this shadow. We're going to do this dark. And we'll start to define under here. That'll be about as far as we take it today. And then tomorrow we'll finish it up with the greens and the barrels, and unless it finishes itself while we're working right now. But the plan is to do it in 3 stages. Get the major darks in now so I can look at them and sit with them. And then tomorrow I'll finish this off with these nice, I'll protect this area so we get these nice bright greens from the light coming in on the side. And we'll go from there. So here is our painting. There, I have my reference out so I can see it. And the first thing we need to do is mix up a dark. And I'm going to make this I was going to say it's going to be a warmish dark, but not too warm. And it'll be a decently strong dark, at least under the eaves, and then more transparent and leaning towards the purple as we get in closer to the lower part of the building. So I've got my color mixed up here, and it's kind of a lavender gray on the dark side. I'm going to start in this corner. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to do that thin stripe dark all the way down the side. That's why it didn't matter so much if we connected the sky there. While I have this, I'm going to mix up a little bit more of a color that's a little bit more towards the purple, and drop some of that in here in this darker bit at the top. Now I got to keep moving because I want the under the eaves here to be the darkest part. And the nice thing is that this is a discrete chunk. This only goes down to the windows. So we're not trying to do all of it in one fell swoop. All right, I've added some Payne's gray to get this dark under the overhang and in here. Okay. This is still wet, so I can throw some heavier color into here. And I'm mixing up what Vlad would call an emergency dark. And while it's wet, dropping some in. I just want some defined dark underneath the eaves. That really pushes that dark forward. And now we can just go ahead and start to come down and get lighter. And at this point, I'm just going to put water in my brush and let gravity help me pull this wash down. And I'm finding I want to be careful that light on the windowsills creeps up just a little bit higher. And gives a nice edge. So I don't want to lose that. So that's why I've gone around that window shape. I'm going to do the same thing here. Around this, down here, and down. Gone down below that line a little bit, so I'm going to just pull that out and go ahead and come back in so I can get a cleaner line. All right, starting to get some shape and definition now for sure. Where I also want to hit is the underside of these corner pieces. I marked them off early on in my pencil drawings so I would remember to do them. And they don't have to be fancy. They're just a little line. Gives you a little bit of edge there. And they're on the bottom side of these cornerstones. And on the left-hand side, they also show like that a little bit. That might be a bit heavy. I'm going to just blot them a little bit. There. Okay. I can really feel the building starting to get anchored down to down into the earth a little bit, even from the top where we're working. As long as I'm here, I'm going to finish up these window shapes. There. Nothing fancy, nothing too hard. Just getting in there, getting around the window panes. And I also have to remember to get under these windows with the shadow. There. All right. Break that up a little bit. It's better if it's not quite uber firm there. Where do we want to go from here? I want to do the darks in here, leave a little sliver of light there, and this little jagged little pill, as it were. And this brush might be a little bit small for what I want to do. It's not bad. I just may have to go back in and pick up water occasionally, or paint. All right, we're coming down to this little lightning bolt shape. But I'm going to throw some more darks in and vary the color a little bit. Now, there's a fairly hard edge to this. It's got to be a cast. Or protruding light, I guess. Really more than anything else. I don't know what to call it. Just a sliver of light that's coming out down there. All right. Let's get some nice dark up in here. We'll let gravity do its thing, but if we can get the dark up under the eaves and let it run down, it becomes more convincing. And probably this whole thing under here should be darker. Right now the only other thing we're doing is we're dropping in this roof line here. Like that. And that leaves it a little bit chunky. I like the way it looks. Okay. I'm just waiting for that noise to pass. Now, I'm just dropping a little bit of a definition line, and it's a little bit dry brush. To give some shape here. Around the door. I don't know if you can see it, but I put my hand into the dark paint and then laid it back down. It's gonna be a dark area, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay. I do have to be careful. I see I've got red paint on my hands, which I transferred to the painting as well, so I really have to start being a little more careful. All right, we're gonna get dark inside of the doorway. I'm holding the brush back by the end, not like a pencil. I know you're gonna want to work like a pencil here and control your line, but you're much better off if you can let yourself do it. Work with a looser hand. And I'm going around the flag entirely at this point. I don't want to paint in the flag. I'll do that as one of the last things that I do. And painting around the flagpole, just like that. The banister is going to be a little bit lighter and more of a wood color, along with, I'm going to put a warm here before I start dropping the darks down into here. But that's really where we're going to go next. And this little outline of the door, try and get in here and let that have a little calligraphic kind of squiggle to it. Break up the line a little bit. It doesn't have to be complete. In fact, it helps make that shadow believable if it's not quite complete. Okay, now let's mix up that warm color. I'm going to do that with some burnt sienna and a little bit of purple, and do the railing. Across here. I don't think you have to do a whole lot more than that. We might darken this up a little bit. Drop some darks into it here and there. Go back and pick up the warm color again. And let's do this. The warm color is lightened a little bit with water. Go around that flagpole and drag it across here. And then we're back to the dark again. So we're just going to pick up that bead and do a warmness shift there. We're shifting to the cool. It's not dark enough under here. I'm gonna have to do something with this. But let's get this first bit down first. And I'm going around the plants and down and around the barrels. Okay. There we go. And the answer is, yeah, I need to definitely get this in a deeper dark down here. That'll also help the wood. feel more like the right value by putting dark in here. Okay, I think we'll just run a little tiny bit of this dark right here, the bottom of the railing, just like that. Okay, we've got wood tone, warm, dark and cool, and then we're going down into the doors here. And I made the decision to make this wash have a little bit more color in it, even deep into those shadows of the door. So it's a purple brown. And I'll get my brush a little bit wet and come in here, and you know, there's a spot where you can see into that shadow, so let's not lose that. All right, now this is still wet, so I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna do much more with this, but I'm gonna go back and hit this space behind the railing with the dark again, because that's gonna push the railing forward. Take a damp brush and drag it through here, just to hint at the door frame, to pick up some of that paint. Just hint at the door frame. I don't want to go too crazy. There's a little bit of light under there. Okay. This shadow dried down lighter than I expected, so I'm definitely hitting that. I'm gonna come up here with a little bit more dark as well, but I want that to be dry. All right, we can start putting in our tree shapes, and I'll come back and tighten up the darks a little bit, and we'll actually be done with this one today. All right, so we need to make up some green, which starts with some cadmium yellow medium and just a little bit of cobalt blue, because that green is really pretty golden. I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. I don't want to get too loose in my detailing. All right, now holding the brush again from the back, This is important because it helps you to remember to stay loose. All right, so now I've got the shape of that cypress tree in, and the lighter side is in, and all I'm gonna do is drop a dark mix into that shadow side. It's a strong shadow, and I don't even mind if the shadow of the tree blends into the shadow of the underneath the stairs. You also want to hit this a couple of times, some broken line, give your shape a little bit more body. And I'm going to come in and grab a little bit of yellow on my brush and okay. And I think we've got what we need there. This one I'm going to keep a little bit of an edge so I'm away from that plant, and I add a little bit of white gouache to let it look like sunlight hitting the top of that, and then I'll darken it as we go down, and I'm really just doing a simple dry brush in of the shape. You know, dry brushing is really a helpful technique. It can help you get what you want without having to look like you spent a lot of time doing it. And of course, dropping in some darks near the base. And I'll probably come in and do all those pots at one time. While I'm here, I'm going to darken that again. And then this value is too light under here, so I'm going to glaze in some dark. And then I'll balance that by darkening that sandy color in a minute. But let's get back to our trees. And we're going to do the same thing on these two. The left-hand side is going to be yellow, or a very yellow-green anyway. And then we pick up some of that purple and brown, and we start dropping it in for the shadow side. Okay. Now let's do the lighter side of this guy. And leave yourself a little room between them so that they don't bleed too much. And then go ahead and pick up that dark color. And again, if this runs into that roof and into this shadow, so be it. Come down into here. Just like that. And then this is going to blossom unless I just get this completely soaked again right now. So I'm just going to hit this. Okay. And Painting fast and loose on this bush. Going around the others, I'm kind of doing this like a kindergarten thing, going around the other plants so that they don't bleed into each other too much. And this needs some dark coming into it now, down here. And while it's nice and juicy and wet, this is the time to do this. Just drop these darks in and let gravity pull them down. And you don't have to do much more than that. I think I'm going to yellow up this color a little bit and add some edges. As you get next to the building, it's going to be darker, so you drop that in there. So you get that built up edge there going down into one shape. Super simple, and it really does the trick. How dry is this? That's pretty dry. Let's finish that shadow up. We're going to finish that up by putting in a nice dark color. Like that, and then down the edge of the building. Now something like that. That pushes the building forward quite a bit. We still need to get more dark in here, but I'm just not. I think I have to do it all in one pass. Might as well negative paint around that plant while I'm here. It's still pretty humid, and the paper is really eating up all the dark paint that I'm putting down. Okay. You know what, I am just going to work on these trees here, and then I'm going to step away and let this dry. We will do this in 3 parts because I want this to I don't want to ruin this if I get in there too much right now. So I'm going to let that dry come back and restate the darks a little bit, and then we'll go from there. In the meantime, we can loosely paint in the tree on this side. And get that nice warm yellow glow because it's catching the sun from the other side. And then on the shadow side, I'm simply going to mingle in this dark color. And run it down. And of course, as you get closer to the base, all right. So here's where we're going to leave off. Sorry about the airplane, and we'll come back to this tomorrow.